Okay, what I'd like to look at first is for individuals who have not yet purchased a guitar. There are three basic kinds of guitars that you will explore. There are nylon string guitars, they're acoustic, so they have a hole in them. Steel string guitars, they are acoustic, so they're wood and they have a hole in them. And electric guitars that have steel strings. Those are the three basic kinds of guitars. So, give me just a minute and I'm going to grab my nylon string guitar and talk about its benefits. This is a nylon string guitar. You'll find that it's soft, the sound is soft, the strings are also soft and easy for beginners to press down. You never really form the calluses on your fingertips that you would form with a steel string guitar or an electric guitar. The body of this guitar is a little bit smaller. What I have here is not a full classical guitar shape. What I have here is called a flamenco guitar. I prefer it for the smaller body size. You can tell the width of this guitar, as we'll see, is going to be a little bit thinner than your traditional acoustic guitar with that steel strings. This guitar is really based on medieval instruments and the lute. And then the nylon string guitar became popular in Spain, and that's why you hear so much Spanish-style music, Brazilian and flamenco, being played on these kinds of guitars. But they are also a very typical guitar for a beginner because it won't hurt your fingers. It's very popular with beginners. It has a soft and gentle tone. This is still the guitar I use at weddings and formal events. This one happens to have some electronics inside it, so you can actually plug a wire in the end of it here and put it out to a speaker. I find this guitar very easy to play, very comfortable to hold, and you'll see that very often players will play them on the same leg as they're fretting. So if you're right-handed, then your left hand will be playing the neck, and it's very common to see guitars being played on this leg. And they sound quite nice with a pick as well. So, that is the nylon string guitar. Smaller bodied, quite comfortable. This is an acoustic steel string guitar. The body size is called a DR. DR. So that's as in D as in Daniel and R as in Robert. So it's a DR. Acoustic guitar makers have several sizes in their line of guitars. The cheapest and most affordable is always the largest and most difficult to hold. They're the cheapest to produce and they're called Dreadnoughts. Dreadnought is named after a ship that sailed in World War II. But then as you come down and bring the sizes of the guitars smaller, they get a little more comfortable to hold, but sometimes you see that price go up a little bit. So this one is a nice sort of middle ground between the largest guitar and the smallest guitar. You'll notice that the side of the guitar is like significantly bigger and wider than the nylon string guitar that we looked at. A guitar like this is held on your right leg if you're right-handed. You'll also notice that I'm using a strap, so if I wanted to sit on my bench a little bit side saddle here and just kind of strum away, this would be quite comfortable. Well, my strings have gotten pretty dead here and I haven't changed them, so it's sounding a little bit flat. A little bit lifeless, I guess you could say, not flat pitch-wise. So you'll find that these strings are steel. The bottom two strings are pure steel, and these strings up here, 3, 4, 5, and 6, are wound. They're wound, so there's a winding around the steel core. So this guitar will definitely develop calluses. This guitar is the most common acoustic guitar that I see students come in with. But it does not mean that it's a good fit for you just because it's cheap. Just remember that. I've seen more steel string acoustics that are virtually unplayable than any other guitar. Sometimes it's hard for a student to even get a good note out of them because the guitar hasn't been cared for. Maybe it was kept in a closet, a basement, an attic. Maybe it lived in a car for a while if you had a relative who was learning guitar and they would bring it with them around from place to place in very cold or very hot weather. So all these things really can warp the guitar's wood and make it unplayable. So more about guitar care later. But for now, just to identify the different sounds, the different sizes, and the different feels of the guitar. So acoustic, steel string, and it's going to be larger. It's going to be larger. And it's going to have a much bigger sound, that's for sure. A very classic sound. This is an electric guitar. This particular guitar is called a Fender Stratocaster. There's two basic kinds of guitars, and I'll show you the next one. This is called a double cutaway. You'll notice that there's a horn here, and there's a horn here. So this is a design that was patented by Leo Fender. Now this is a Fender Stratocaster style guitar that has a neck, as you see, as the player. That neck looks like it's really, really long, especially compared to the acoustic guitars. This is the neck, but it's really not that much longer. It's just the way the neck connects to the body. The neck is bolted onto the body with 4 bolts right here. So these guitars have interchangeable parts. If you've got a bad neck, well, you probably can just buy a replacement neck from your local retailer or online. This particular guitar has 6 tuners right here. See how they're all in a row? And it has a volume knob and 2 tone knobs. So a little bit hard to see because it's white on white here, but it's got a volume knob and 2 tone knobs. And this little tremolo arm right here, that's kind of moving around. This steel arm right here creates some modulation of the notes. So you really can get quite a few tones out of it, and this guitar the tones are coming out of the guitar into a cable down into an amplifier. So electric guitars are really, it can be, let's say, intimidating if you're a first-time player walking into your guitar shop. I just really encourage you to hold as many guitars as you can. You really just grab them off the wall with permission and put them in your lap and hold them. You'll notice that this electric guitar sits so comfortably on my right leg. I can teach with this guitar for hours and hours and hours, and I basically feel like I'm not holding anything at all. When I'm ready to play more seriously, I can take the guitar, raise my left leg, and put it on this leg just to have a feeling of more comfort. You can also get different sounds or tonalities from the guitar by using a switch to select which pickup you'd like to use. And these are the pickups. We'll get more into that in a bit, but they produce different colors or tones. So that is your steel string electric guitar double cutaway. Give me just a moment and I'll show you the single cutaway. Alright, presto changeo. So this is a single cutaway guitar. I seem to have chosen colors that won't show up on camera too well, but this one here is a single cutaway, and it is a Les Paul guitar. So let's just move aside here so you can see the single cutaway. It's been loved, as you can tell. I've worn off a bit of it there. This guitar is incredibly comfortable to play, and you'll notice some key differences between this electric guitar and the white one I just played. The biggest difference would of course be, well, it's an entirely different shape. So it's got more of a pear shape, like a fruit here, and it's got only one cutaway right here. And this cutaway, meaning that it is not symmetrical, if you notice. Okay, this cutaway right here is used to help you have access to the higher frets. This guitar is a little bit stronger sounding than the Stratocaster style, and that's because of the electronics configuration in this guitar. It is louder, for sure, so I tend to turn my amp down when I plug this guitar in. It also has totally different sound characteristics, so as you learn rock songs, if you like rock and you like jazz, you're going to find that there are certain settings that you like with the knobs on your guitar, and this guitar has, as you see, 4 knobs here, and they control the volume and the tone. So that's just a quick overview of the most common guitars that you're going to run into.